Hey, welcome everyone to ETA Conversions. On this episode, I'm going to show you how I made some homemade tools. These tools can be made by you as long as you have some basic tools at home to make the tools, and a welder comes in handy as well. I've made my tools to kind of fit within inside my garage. I don't have a large shop or big workshop to work in. I just have a basic garage, probably like a lot of you guys do. And so I've got to make my tools fit in my garage, in my space, and I got to utilize every inch of my garage that I can. So I really tried to build my tools to work around the confines that I have. Stick around, check out what I've built. Maybe you guys will want to build the same thing and use it in your garage in your next project. Alright, let's go check things out. Okay, so don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to catch all my video content. But let's take a look at the first tool that I made here at my home. It is a DeWalt bandsaw that I wanted to modify and have a chop saw sort of made out of this, or articulating bandsaw. There's all sorts of different styles you can buy and set up, or there's different styles that you can make. Some of these didn't quite fit all the needs that I wanted, but they all had a little bit something. Everybody has a little bit of a homemade version, and there are versions you can buy out there that can take your bandsaw and do something with it. But I decided to lay out some plans and see if I could make my own bandsaw table. I went out and just sketched out what I thought I needed, came up with some dimensions, and then started producing the rough skeleton of it. I took a bunch of 1-inch steel square pipe and just started welding it together to house the DeWalt bandsaw. And then I made some knobs on the front side where the handle goes, so I could adjust the bandsaw back and forth to get it square. And then I added a table on there so I could do some hand cutting on there as well. Now with the table, I'm able to take it off and remove it so that it's out of the way, and then I can convert it to a bandsaw rather than a table saw. This is really just as easy as taking those legs off, taking the tabletop off, and then I put a shock on the side to help with the ease of lifting the bandsaw and keeping it in an upright position. And you just pull a clip, snap it in, and away you go. So and then once I'm done with the legs, I made some holders on the top of the bandsaw, and you're able to kind of just snap these in place. I did this kind of in a weird way. A lot of people have 3D printers nowadays that you can print all sorts of fancy stuff. I actually got a doodle pen, which is a pen that extrudes plastic, and I made mine by hand without a 3D printer, and I just went ahead and made some clips to hold these legs in place, so that way they're always with the bandsaw, but out of my way when I'm using the bandsaw. So I added a cutting table to the bandsaw. It's kind of a waste plate so that when the bandsaw comes down, it cuts into this plate a little bit, and then I also put a backer plate on it that I can put my pipes or whatever I'm cutting up against it, and I can adjust the angle of it. I just right now just use a vice grip to get my angle, and I check everything with my square and make sure everything's squared up good. So the DeWalt bandsaw comes with a light on it that has a line so you can line up your cuts. So right now I'm just making sure my cut lines up where I want it, and then I clamp my pipe to that backing plate. And that keeps the pipe nice and tight as I'm cutting it and doesn't move around, and we stay square. So ever since I've made this tool, I've used it a lot. I really like how straight everything cuts. Now this cuts a little slow, so I've sped up the video a little bit for you, so I don't bore you with how slow this thing cuts. But it cuts good and straight and very little waste when you're cutting it. Another plus is there's no sparks when you're done. Or no sparks while you're cutting it, I should say. That's one thing when you're using a chop saw, you got sparks flying all over the place, and if you're working in a tight, sensitive area, you got a lot of stuff in your garage that you don't want to get sparked up or you feel like you're going to catch fire. This is a nice alternative. Nice and simple, doesn't make a lot of noise, and it makes good, clean, square cuts. Like I said, I've really enjoyed having this tool after I built it. So this pipe I was cutting was actually setting up for the next project I was going to build, which was a table for a drill press that I bought. Now, I wanted this drill press mobile, so I put wheels on it so that I can wheel it around the garage in different areas as I was working on things. When you're in a garage, you have some tight places, and you might need to move your stuff around in order to get it to fit properly in your garage. If you're drilling big long tubes, you might need to move the drill press over to one side or another so you can fit that tube in your garage. I bolted this drill press down onto the frame. I welded a plate onto the stand when I was done. It's a really heavy duty plate, and then I also put adjustable casters on the stand as well, so that when I move it to different areas of the garage, I can actually level it, put the feet down, level it off, and then at that point the stand becomes solid and it doesn't move around everywhere. One of the last things you want to do is have your stand on wheels and then you're working on something and it just kind of rolls out from under you. So these feet are nice. You can actually get the wheels off the ground and it makes a nice solid surface. It's also nice that if your ground is not level, you can actually level this stand, so when you're working you are on a level surface. Another addition I added to the drill press was a vise that mounted to the turntable on the drill press. I took a piece of plate, drilled some holes in the bottom of it, and added this vise to it. But I put some feet on the bottom of this plate so that it would not move on the turntable as you're trying to drill something. I had to put some big washers on the feet because I couldn't get the screws to countersink all the way. But it's a nice little addition to the drill press now. So a really important tool I made for my garage was a water separator. This will separate the water from my air compressor when I'm using it. This water separator is just a random configuration of tubes in kind of a zigzag pattern. Basically, you have these blow-off valves on the bottom of each zigzag pattern, but what it does is the air comes in to the pipes, and then it has to travel across all these pipes, and as it travels across these pipes, the water actually gets blown to the bottom of the pipes. So the air comes in here, it has to go through this zigzag pattern. Water gets trapped down in this bottom blow off, and it has to go back up, and every time it hits a wall, it actually traps some water, and the water just falls to the bottom. And then the last one, same thing, but right here in the middle, that's where my air outlet is, and then it goes up to my air hose reel from there. So every couple of days I will go through, and depends on how much I use the air compressor, but I will open these valves up and blow out any water that's actually sitting inside these valves. And then I'll also blow out the filter as well, because the filter will catch some water in it as well. And so here I'll just crack this valve open, and you can see a little bit of water come out, mainly air. And then this one you can see a big mist of water. Not so much on that one. And then this one gets a good burst of mist as well. And then my filter up top, before it goes out, that one, drain it out and gets all the water out of the last one there. It's a super handy tool. It cleans the water out of your air lines really well. Okay, so my next project is I'm going to take this pile of used steel, and I'm going to make a welding cart that I've always wanted. Right now I've just got my welder sitting on a bench, and I have to carry it wherever I want it. So I got some rough specs and dimensions I wanted. I measured up my welder, how big it was and everything. Drew out some specs on some paper, and then started designing, cutting more steel on my bandsaw, and then started putting it together. This project was also a good reason for me to practice TIG welding. I TIG welded this whole welding cart together because I needed to learn how to get better at TIG welding. So this cart was a good project for that. And basically, now I've built the bottom of the base. This is the bottom of the base, and I'm going to primer the edges because I'm going to weld some plates on the bottom, and underneath the plates I don't want it to rust, so I'm just going to put a little bit of self-etching primer underneath there, and then I'm going to weld plates to the bottom corners here to allow me to add some wheels to this welding cart. Now I'm not going to primer the whole bottom of this welding cart. I just need to hit the edges where I'm not going to be able to put paint or primer later on. These edges basically get covered up, so we want to just make sure they're got a coat of protection on that, and so that when I do weld the plates on, it's got primer underneath the welds. First step, the base, it rolls. I like it. This is a good first step. Now that I have the basic frame made, I needed to weld in a crossbeam so that when I put my welding tanks on, this little crossbeam can support the weight of the tanks. But as you can see, I was practicing TIG welding and my rod and tungsten got stuck to the plate. So, well, moving on. Alright, now I got the base plate mounted to the bottom of the cart, and so we're going to start putting the uprights on there. And I had to make sure the uprights were square, so I had to pull sideways and weld the cart. But I got everything welded up nice and square on this thing. Like I said, this was great practice for me to do some TIG welding. There was many corners I had to get in and TIG weld, so it was a good practice item. And then once I got it all TIG welded up, I went ahead and put a coat of paint on it. It turned out really nice. Super happy with it. It's going to house the ESAB welder that I have really well. It rolls really nice, and it's got a couple of adjustable hangers on the side that I can use to hang my electrodes, my ground wire, the power plug, whatever I need. So really happy with the way this cart turned out in the end. And you can see my welder in the background there. I can't wait to put this thing on there and get all my tanks off the ground and get my welder on a proper welding cart. Very proud of this item. But with this, got more to go with that, and I will show you what more I did here in a little bit. We need to break out the bandsaw again, but now I don't have to do things on the floor. I can actually put my bandsaw on top of my welding cart and use it like a real human being standing up. These items have really made my garage come together and very usable. One of the things that a lot of people out there, you guys all have a limited space in your garage unless you have a workshop, so for me, having a mobile welding cart, things I can put on the welding cart, make a huge difference. This welding cart I built to the same size as my shelf over in the corner, so that I could just use it and lay things on there and still have this 10-foot bar to put across my garage, but still use all the space wisely in my garage. So you can see I was using the bandsaw again for my next project, which is drum roll, please. Oh God, would this guy just hurry up and move this cart already? So I actually added a table to the side of my welding cart, which, if you looked at my drawings real close, had one. What's nice about this is this table folds off down onto the side of the welding cart. So where space is very limited in my garage, I fold this down, stick it up against my garage wall, and I can still pull my other vehicle into my garage if I need to. It's done with just a couple of pins, so I pull a pin, the leg folds down, I drop the leg out from inside the other leg, pin it, and same thing on the other side. I'll got a leg that slides down, and then I'll pin it, and I've got this nice welding table to work on. And here again, everything is level, so my bench that is not movable is the same height as my jig table. Now, this jig table, I didn't actually build the jig table. I bought the table from Harbor Freight Tools. It's a good table for $200. I could actually, if I wanted a real jig table, I could spend anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 on one, but I'm just in my garage. I just need to do some simple things, build some suspension for my Trans Am. So this $200 table works out perfectly for my needs. Alright guys, that is it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button, share with your friends, have them check out some of my projects to maybe help them out in their garage. But other than that, you guys stay safe and have a good one. We'll talk to you later.